The old house loomed large against the setting sun. It was a spooky sight. Ali, a man who scoffed at ghost stories, felt a shiver run down his spine. Beside him, his 10-year-old son Yasin clutched his arm.
It's okay, Yasin, it's just an old house.
They had inherited the house from a distant relative, a relative nobody seemed to know much about. It was in a village so remote it felt forgotten by time. The house was a labyrinth of dark, dusty rooms. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. Yasin's eyes darted around nervously. The silence was broken only by the creaking of the floorboards beneath their feet.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it, Dad?
Ali cleared his throat, trying to sound brave. He didn't believe in ghosts. He refused to believe.
It's just old, that's all.
He said more to convince himself than his son. Nightfall brought with it an eerie silence, the kind of silence that makes you strain to hear, hoping you won't. Ali lit a kerosene lamp, the flickering light doing little to dispel the shadows that clung to every corner of the room. Yasin huddled close, his eyes wide with fear. They ate their dinner quickly, each bite heavy with unspoken dread. Suddenly a loud bang echoed through the house. Yasin jumped, clutching his father's arm.
What was that?
He whispered, his eyes wide with terror. Ali's heart pounded in his chest. He tried to rationalize the sound. An animal, perhaps? Or just the old house settling? But the fear in his son's eyes mirrored his own. He had to be strong for Yasin. He had to at least appear brave. The house seemed to come alive as the night deepened. Whispers seemed to emanate from the walls. Shadows danced in the flickering lamplight, taking on menacing shapes. Ali felt a cold dread grip his heart. This was no ordinary house. It was as if some unseen entity was watching them, toying with them. Yasin whimpered, burying his face in his father's shirt.
We need to leave, Dad.
He pleaded, his voice muffled. Ali knew he was right. They had to escape this nightmare. He gathered their belongings, his hands shaking. As they stumbled towards the front door, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the house. It was Yasin. He stood frozen, his eyes fixed on something behind Ali.
Dad, behind you.
He choked out, his voice filled with terror. Ali spun around, his blood turning to ice. A shadowy figure stood before them, its eyes glowing an eerie red in the darkness. He had no words, no logical explanation, only pure primal fear. He grabbed Yasin's hand, pulling him close.
Recite Ayat al-Kursi, Yasin.
He urged, his voice shaking. His son's voice joined his, the holy verses filling the chilling air. Slowly, the shadowy figure seemed to recoil, its form flickering. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished. They didn't stop running until they reached the village. The next morning, a local, his face etched with fear, told them of the house's dark history.
That house is cursed. Many have perished within its walls.
Ali and Yasin didn't need further explanation. They left the village, the terrifying events of the night forever etched in their minds. They made a silent vow. They would never return.